Hey there my fellow Indians, welcome to NewsHamster. This video / debate that we're going to have today is ages old. Quite literally, because we are going to talk about the history syllabus of India. I know most of you find this subject very boring, but I promise you that this video will not be boring. We have a lot of debates surrounding what we are teaching our students in the name of history. Are we teaching what Indian historians wrote, or are we teaching what European historians have written? If we talk about Indian historians, what is the content that is being fed to the students? Is it written by secular historians or is it written by Marxist historians? Well, look at this picture on your screen. This picture we found on the internet has caught our attention a bit. Just have a look at it. Is this actually the reality of Indian history syllabus? Do you remember what you studied as history when you went to school? Let's find out. Stay tuned with me until the video ends to understand, is this what the students are learning in today's date? Alright, so the picture we are seeing on your screen is of course a direct attack on the previous Congress governments for manipulating our syllabus, which is not a part of this video. It is a different political debate altogether. But let's focus on other aspects of this picture. It talks about how India was ruled by dynasties like Cholas, the Pandyas, Pallavas, Mauryans, Shatavahanas and even the Ahoms. But our books apparently only teach us about Mughals and such quote-unquote foreign kingdoms. But is it the reality? There were a lot of similar tweets on these lines, questioning the books, the history syllabus. So let's go with the assumption that these guys are talking about the NCERT books, which is the most widely prescribed and followed syllabus in India, except for the state syllabus that use their own books. So when we say NCERTs do not have mention of any other Indian kingdoms, for example the Mauryas, we at NewsHamster did some extensive research looking at all the NCERTs available from class 6 to class 12, and this is what we found. If you look at your screen, here is the image of chapter 7 from class 6 textbook called as Our Past Part 1, which talks about the Mauryans with particular focus on Ashoka. For that matter, the chapters from class 3 to class 5 trace the development of Indian history from Indus Valley civilization, the Vedic age, the Vedas until we reach the Magadh Empire. Here is another picture of chapter 10 that includes mentions of empires like Guptas, Pallavas, Chalukyas and so on. Here is the image of chapter 2 of class 7 history NCERT textbook called as Our Past Part 2, which mentions almost all South Indian dynasties including Rashtrakutas, Palas, Cholas and even the empire of the Chauhans. The same book in chapter 7 mentions about nomadic tribes and empires including the Ahoms of the northeast region and the Banjaras as well. From the presented evidences, it is quite clear that the children studying history today are not devoid of actual facts of Indian history and mention of all empires including Hindu empires, Muslim empires, Buddhist empires and also Sikh empires. When we presented the same argument to someone we knew who believed in the same picture theory, that person had a saner way of presenting it to us. We were told that yes, it is certainly agreed that there is a mention of all Indian empires in NCERTs, but it is not as large and extensive as the Mughal history and British India has been covered in the books. Now this could be agreed upon as the Mauryan Empire is covered in 15 pages, the Gupta Empire is covered in just 5 pages, Pallavas and Chalukyas in also 5 pages and Cholas in 6 pages. But the Mughal Empire has a wider coverage spanning across 15 pages and mentions of the concept in not just one book but 2 or 3 of them. And British history in India has a far wider coverage in the NCERTs. Now this does sound like a problem, but a counter argument to this is that sources matter in history. Since medieval times and modern times have many sources, that's probably why enough attention has been paid to these aspects. But the problem essentially would be that in the NCERT books, there is definitely an issue of skewed representation of one part more than the other. But we definitely cannot argue that there is absolutely no mention of other empires in India in the NCERT books, this would be completely nonsensical. This apart, I have to bring to your notice the issues we ourselves figured out from the books. One being the fact that the northeastern part of India and its history has not been given enough attention to in the NCERT books. Only one part has been mentioned, and that is only about the Ahom kingdoms of the northeastern region. In 2017, the NCERT brought out a book called as Northeast India, People, History and Culture. But this book is just a supplementary, and that was probably put together just to appease some hurt sentiments. Do you really think that teachers will allow students to include supplementary books as a part of their already tough to understand syllabus? We also have issues with the fact that we are homogenizing the 7 states with a common nomenclature called as Northeast. While every state of northeastern India, be it Assam, Nagaland, Tripura or even Arunachal Pradesh, is unique in its own way because of its culture, because of its traditions. It is a sad state of affairs that people of the nation don't even know the names of the 7 sister states. We at NewsHamster believe that the change in the minds of the mainland Indians will start when they learn and get sensitized about this aspect at a very early age by reading it either as history or even Indian culture and society. The next thing I want to bring your attention to is about the mention of the Indian freedom struggle, which is absolutely the most crucial part of Indian history. The chapter of Subhash Chandra Bose is least mentioned in our books. For instance, in chapter 11 of the class 8 history textbook mentions just one paragraph, just one single paragraph about this man Subhash Chandra Bose, and this is the same case with other revolutionaries like Bhagat Singh. Even in various chapters of class 10 and class 12, there is absolutely no mention of Subhash Chandra Bose and his contributions to the freedom struggle. The contribution of Bose to the freedom struggle is immense, from clearing the British civil service examination to becoming a villain for the British rule, his coordination with the enemies of the British, and finally the formation of Indian National Army or the Azad Hind Fauj, post which Indian National Army and its contribution has to be remembered about how they played a crucial role in scaring away the British from Indian subcontinent. We really need to know about this man and his contributions in making us an independent nation, and the reason why Gandhiji called him the prince among the patriots. The next thing we need to speak about is the Aryan invasion theory, which is widely debated today. The concept of Aryans has been a contentious historical subject as it has been used in various ways to suit a variety of ideologies. What is sometimes called as the Aryan question is probably the most complex question in Indian history, and it requires considerable amount of expertise in the interpretation of the evidences, which range from environmental evidence or ecological evidence to genetic evidence. Until today, it was told that Aryans were invaders who came speculatively from various parts of the world, including Europe, Tibet and even Central Asia. But now, there have been many studies that have spoken about the fact that the Aryans were indigenous people and were Indians itself. These researches and studies have not been given by Indians but European researchers using genetics as evidence, as a ground for the same. To peek more on this, we might probably need an entire video. You guys can definitely read up about this. There are a lot of sources available. Well, these are some basic contentions that we found out when we came across the NCERT textbooks about what the students are reading and what can be bettered as a part of our history syllabus. If you know anything more about this, write to us in the comment section. Tell us what you felt about the video and what more we could include in this. Until next time, take care, stay safe, Jai Hind.